Okay, good afternoon. You are going to hear the most important part of this conference today. And I'm really glad to have with me together General Mansour Abu Rashid, the one and the only one from Jordan, who is our partner, and Professor Roulin from Lausanne University in Switzerland, who is, I think, the best ambassador from the Middle East in Switzerland. Not the official one, but he's doing his great job. And here we have Gideon Brumberg coming in. He is the head of EcoPeace, who is also deeply involved in regional cooperation. Okay, so we will start. Okay, our story is, of course, telling you the story that we believe that the dove of peace failed totally in the Middle East. People were talking about it in the morning, and the one who is making the job is the barn owl, or tinshemet in Hebrew, or buma in Arabic. And one issue is, as you can see here on the map, the Middle East is located in a junction of 3 continents, and from our studies we know now that we have 500 million birds who fly twice a year over our region, 1 billion birds over a very narrow region. This is a world importance issue which has an economic and other impacts. We have 550 different bird species, like, for example, this owl, the desert owl, which for European and Americans, this is something special. The weather is here perfect, so the question is, what is our vision in all our activities? I always like to show this picture of President Bush standing like a bird watcher with a binocular, but he forgot to remove the cover of the binocular. So when you are working with politicians, you have to be very careful. When I got this picture, I said, maybe it's not really polite to show a president of the States like this, but fortunately enough, it happened also to our minister a few years later. So the question is, how do we want to see the Middle East? Do we want to see it like this, with aggression and conflicts, or what we are doing with the general, with the Palestinians and others, joining forces through the birds with the youngsters? So, for example, we have here an eagle. All the world population of lesser spotted eagle, 120,000 fly over Israel on migration. 650,000 storks. All the pelicans of Europe and Western Asia are flying over Israel and Jordan. Unfortunately, our government made mistakes not only now, as we heard in the morning, but also 60, 70 years ago. We had the Hula Lake, which was a wetland, and they dried the wetland, and you can see that also in Jordan and in Syria and in Iraq and Turkey, all these wetlands were totally destroyed by the governments. So the pelicans, for example, need a place to land and eat. From our study, we know pelicans can 6 days fly with no food, but then they need 1 kilo of fish. So what we are doing in Israel, we are making a food station, like you had here, free of charge. We buy 8 tons of fish twice a week on the auto migration, and the pelicans learn very fast. There is a free meal, and they come to eat, as you can see here in the short clip. They come and eat here. So we are trying to solve problems with the migrating birds. And the problem is that in the last 40 years, together with Germany, we wanted to learn where are the most important stopover sites of the birds, because we had severe problems with poisoning of farmers, not only in Israel, but in Jordan, in the Palestinian Authority. So we put radio transmitters on storks. Angela Merkel was the Minister of Environment. She gave us €1.5 million to put radios, GPS on white storks and to follow the migration. And when we got these funds, we developed a big website which works till now, birds.org.il, and we have now 600 schools from Jordan, from Palestine and Israel, who are following the migrating storks under the title, Migrating Birds Know No Boundaries. They doesn't belong to the countries. And the students were meeting each other. אם אפשר, יוסי, לשים את זה. And just to show you how it works, we put a radio on a white stork. תשים על פרינסס, יוסי, איפה אתה? Okay, here. Look at this. This is a stork who is nesting in Germany, and we followed it for 13 years. Every year she made the same navigation from a tree in Germany near Berlin through the Middle East, Israel and Jordan, Then she came to Sudan. She stayed there for 2 months along the Nile. And from there she moved to Cape Town. And she did the same route from a tree to Germany to a tree to Cape Town. People, this morning I came here to this conference, I used the Waze. They don't need the Waze. They do it much better than we are doing it. And she was doing the same route year by year. Okay? And this was the beginning. Now, you see, this is a summary of 20 years of 200 white storks. All the storks of Western Germany are going through the Gibraltar because over the sea they don't have the hot air, the thermals. And all the storks of East Germany are going over Jordan and Israel. So the students could follow. Each dot is a stork with a GPS. Can you imagine along the Great Rift Valley, which we are trying to protect? We put it also on griffon vultures, which are in a bad situation. And we had even a griffon vulture from Wadi Dana in Jordan. We have a feeding station in Ramon Crater in the Negev. He comes every day to have some kosher meat and goes back to Jordan. Okay? So this was the beginning with the education and the regional cooperation. But then we started to work together with the Jordanian Palestinians on the barn house. We found out that the farmers are using a lot of pesticides against the rodents and the voles. And this was, of course, a big problem because many protected birds on migration were killed. It affected the soil, wildlife, and so on. So the question was, how can we change this? And the idea was very simple. We started to build nesting boxes, and in each nesting box we have a pair of owls, and they eat every year with the chicks between 2,000 to 6,000 rodents. So the farmers who have the boxes, they stopped to use pesticides. And the barn houses are like the ultra-Orthodox in Israel, which people were talking today. They have between 6 to 13 chicks every year. So they're eating all the rodents. And since 2008, it became a national project in Israel. And later on, since we met the general in 2002, the general started the same project in Jordan and then also the Palestinians. So now the Palestinians have also an NGO working with the rodents. And in Beit She'an Valley, we have now antennas. We can follow now 130 barn houses. And we found out there is a student, Shlomo Cain, who followed them. And we see that out of the 130 owls, 24 already are crossing back and forth from Jordan to Israel and back. So this is the student and his supervisor. His supervisor is Or Spiegel, who is the son of Baruch Spiegel, who was the one who made the peace treaty together with General Mansour Abu Rashid. Last and not least, I did a big project with the Air Force that today, because time is limited, I have to finish in 2.5 minutes. I'll be in time. And we followed, because for the Air Force it was a big problem. They lost many aircraft, crashed, 3 pilots were killed. So I wrote a book, Flying with the Bird, and we gave the book to President Weizmann in a big ceremony. And also, I was really delighted to see today the lady from the Lockheed Martin and Shiki Shani. This is the board of Lockheed Martin Shani with the white coat is Shiki Shani, who was in the morning session. And they came to the ceremony of the Birds Non Boundary because they gave me $350,000. A very good company. And why do I tell you this? Because President Weizmann, when he finished his cadention in 2000, he flew with an helicopter to His Majesty King Abdullah, and the official present of the president was the book Flying with the Bird, with a dedication, like the birds who know no boundaries, hopefully also the people will follow the birds. So that was my part in the story. We were very happy to meet the general, and he will tell you his part of the story. You will push the button.
Okay.
Please, General.
Good day to everybody. I am not an expert in birds or environment. I am a general. I fought the Israelis many years before the peace treaty. I was in the prison in Israel after the war in 1967, and then I participated in many wars along the Jordan River, El Karama, and other areas also. After they appointed me as the senior general in UNSO, United Nations through Super Organization in 1992. I became a member of the Jordanian delegation in the peace talks in Madrid and then in Washington, and then we moved to Jordan. This is some picture of how we build a trust between the officer in the Jordanian side and in Israeli side. We took a model by the late King Hussein and by late Ishaq Rabin, how they became friends and how they improved themselves and convinced the people in both countries to have a peace between both sides. This is what happened with me and General Baruch. When I met him, we built a trust, and then how we can to peace building. Peace building, it takes us a long time. Until today, we still have in peace building. Unfortunately, the peace and the relationship between Jordan and Israel, it goes up, downs, depends on the government in Israel, and also depends on the anti-normalization movement in Arab countries. Unfortunately, until we signed the agreement in 1994 in the crossing point in Eilat and Aqaba. Then I retired from the army, and in 2000, the second intifada started in the West Bank. How we can keep our relation with the Israelis? We have many friends in Palestine and Israel, and we have to work as NGOs now. I left the army. I became the head of the Amman Center for Peace and Development. I established this center just to strengthen the peace between Jordan and Israel, and also to continue our relation in civil society. This is the first meeting was in Beit She'an area, and Professor Yossi Leshem, he was there. We have a forum, we call it Retired Generals, Israeli Jordanian Retired Generals Forum. We pay a visit to Israel, and the idea became to use the barn owls as a tool for bring people who are believing peace between the two countries. We used that. This is the first meeting was in 2000 in the Jordan Valley. And then we established to build boxes for barn owls. And you can see the boxes over there, and one of the Jordanian farmers and Israeli farmers together, they work together. And in the left side now, this map shows that how much we built it, boxes along the Jordan Valley. We have from outside NGOs also who support us. Professor Alex also, he is a part of our project. We visit his country many times. Also, you can see here the Jordanian farmers built their boxes in the farm. We use, as I said, we use barn owls as a tool to bring people together from both sides. This is the only way we can bring people. The politicians, unfortunately, in both sides, they are not believe each other. We don't want it also to be a part of the government. We have to be independent. As NGOs, we have to be independent and to bring people who wish and who like to have a good relation with their neighbor. Most of our projects are in the Jordan Valley along the border. Jordan has a long border with Israel, 480 kilometers. And as you know, the people who are living on the both sides of the river did not know each other. Most of them, they are farmers. Anything happens in the Israeli side immediately affect in the Jordanian side, and the vice versa. For that reason, we have to bring the farmers together, how they can control the pest and how they can control the insect in both sides in their farms along the Jordan Valley. Here, one of example, in one of the boxes in barn owls, you can see, I think, 17 chicks in one boxes. And then, as you know, we have a problem in Jordan and Israel and in Palestinian Authority, the Dead Sea. Dead Sea shrinking every year 1 meter below, okay? After 2050, I think the Dead Sea will be a swimming pool if we are not working hard, get on, to find a resolution for the Dead Sea. EcoPeace, they are working very hard to release water from Kinneret down through Jordan Valley, but it's not enough. And as you know, in the last 30 years, we don't have a lot of rain to fill the Dead Sea. We brought artists from some countries in Europe. We have a workshop for 10 days, 5 days in Jordan and 5 days in Israel, and we brought him to the Dead Sea to learn the students, males and females from both sides, how they can paint it and how they can have awareness in the civil society to save the Dead Sea in the future. We have another project with the Israeli army. As you know, after the signing the peace treaty, the IDF, they left a lot of bunkers along the border, and instead to be soldier in the bunkers, the PATS, it comes and he settles in the bunkers. We use the bunkers for using the PATS along the Jordan River. This is a project between civil society and the army. Here you can see one of the bunkers with the commander of the Jordan Valley troops with me in the bunkers, and in the other picture, the commanders of the Jordanian army and Israeli army along the border together to visit the project. And here I finished. I will give to
you can add something if you want.
Alex.
Okay, thank you, General. Can you please put the slide back? Okay, I'm a professor at the University of Lausanne. You can wonder why a Swiss guy is in this project. And you will understand later. I would like just to say that yesterday we had the pleasure to meet your Minister of Agriculture. And he asked whether our Buma is supersonic. If the Buma is Buma 15 or Buma 16. And I will show you it. I told him that it's a bit more complex. I will just show you a few scientific results, interesting. About camouflage, you are the specialist about camouflage here in Switzerland, in Israel, much better than in Switzerland. And the barn owl is very interesting because this is the single one nocturnal predator which is totally white. You can wonder why a nocturnal predator is white, because it should be very visible to the rodents. Thus, he can succeed to capture the rodents. And what we did several studies. I will show you one result. Let's imagine that you are a rodent and you have this guy diving on you. It's white. You should notice it very quickly and flee. That's how it can be so successful. Because a white barn owl in the night, mainly when there is the full moon, it should be like a ghost, you know, they should be very scared. Mainly when there is the full moon, the mice should flee. And what we found was the idea to capture the rodent and to bring them in the lab, and we manipulated the lights. And we had 2 stuffed barn owls, dead, white and red, and we manipulated the light inside the room. And they were on a zip line, and we released the bird, and we looked at the reaction of the rodents. And the rodents, when they see the predator, they panic and stay immobile. And when there was the new moon without any light, the rodent, when it sees the barn owl, it stays frozen 9 seconds. When there is the full moon, the barn owl is very visible. And what happens? The birds, no, not the birds, the rodent has the impression this is a ghost, and he panics much longer, twice as long. Does the barn owl found the trick to scare the rodent to capture it. And this is why the barn owl is white. A last result before going to my job as a Swiss guy in the Middle East. The barn owl is very interesting for another reason, for many reasons. But another reason is because the females produce 2 broods in the same year. And the female is responsible to give the food to the chicks, and the father, it goes out and capture the prey and bring the prey back. And we put GPS, that's not only on the storks, but also on the barn owl to see what they do at night. You see the blue circle, that's the place where the male goes. It hunts all night long. And the female, you see the small houses, those are nest boxes. And what the female is doing is she's looking for another male, a new mate. And she spends all night long looking for males, while the father is taking care of the chicks. You can see here, this is in a canton Protestant, I'm Catholic, and you see the female, the Catholic female, looking for young males. The female is old, and she's looking for young males. Here, this was the very first GPS we put. The female, business as usual, she was looking for males. And when we recaptured the male, we noticed, wow, the guy had 2 females at the same time. The last example, I was born in the village Payerne, and in one night, the female flew 50 kilometers to Lausanne, where I'm working now. And she was going in a discotheque to look for males. And she stayed 3 days and 3 nights while the male was taking care of the chicks. And she came back. The male had no idea what happened during these 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, thus I'm doing a bit of science, and that's why I came in Israel. In 2007, Yossi told me, Alex, you have to come in the Middle East because our barn owls are much more interesting than those in Switzerland. Of course, I did not believe a single word what he was saying. And he was harassing me, you know, with emails. Alex, what do? You have to come. Say, okay. At some point, I say, okay, I was a bit fed up. I say, okay, Yossi, I'll come. And I did some science during a few years. And in 2011, when we were with the General Mansour in Amman, we were eating a lovely meal full of meat. We are not vegetarians, neither vegan in Jordan, I can tell you. And they were making jokes. And the joke, I was a bit scared. You know, the small Swiss guy, a bit timid, with these people from the Middle East shouting. And what happens? And I was just pushing the friend beside me. I didn't know who he was. I said, what are we doing? It's a joke. And the big guy, Youssef, now I know his name, but not at the time, he was harassing the fat guy because he was offended. The fat guy ate a lot of meat, but he did not want to eat the cake, the Jordanian cake. It was a diplomatic problem, apparently. And later on, the fat guy finally ate the cake. And everybody were laughing. And that's when I realized, wow, that's not what we see on TV. People can love each other. I had no idea who they were, the Jews, the Muslims, the Circassian, the Swiss was me, the only one, Americans, no idea. And when I came back, I decided, okay, now I will do a bit more from the social perspective of the project. And I found money because there is some money in Switzerland, as you know. And the other idea I had, with Yossi and the General, of course, was to spread the word starting from Switzerland. And I invited my friend at the Geneva Peace Week in the House of Peace to deliver a message of what we do in the Middle East. This was in Geneva. After we had the idea, wow, we should go in Davos. And Yossi, he knew the Honorable late Shimon Peres, and this was under his auspice. Unfortunately, it had a small attack, and he could not come. And, you know, this was a joke, because I prepared a huge painting for Shimon Peres. And I was in Davos with my painting. I didn't know what to do. And Yossi told me, give it to me. I will give it to Shimon Peres. I said, hey, you are crazy or not? I will not give you my painting to Shimon. Organize a meeting in Jaffa, and I come and I will give the painting to Shimon Peres. And that's what he did. Excellent idea. And we came there, and I had the pleasure to meet Shimon Peres. He was 93. Wow, my God, this was one of my most beautiful meetings in my life. He was so bright. I was really amazed. And later, I had another idea because I was a bit influenced by Yossi. You know, the limit is not even the sky for Yossi, it's maybe Mars, I don't know. And I thought, wow, we should maybe organize a meeting in Switzerland with the president. In 2016, I realized the president was living 25 kilometers from my home where we have nest boxes. I wrote him a nice letter telling him, wow, you know, we do this project in the Middle East. What do you think? We could make a meeting. I had to wait almost 1 year. And in the end, after 1 year, he replied, say, okay, Mr. Roulin, let's organize a huge meeting with me and 150 ambassadors of the world based in Bern. And I invited the Palestinian, Jordanian, and Yossi, of course, to this meeting to show to the ambassadors of the world, not only the barnals, but the project we do in the Middle East. Yeah. And then, you know, I'm Christian. When I come in the Middle East, I'm always a bit, you know, that's the root. Where you live, that's the root of everything, more or less, at least the free monotheism. And at some point, I thought, okay, we should meet, I think, the big boss, my big boss, not the big boss of Yossi, neither of General Mansour. And I met the bishop in Freiburg, in Switzerland. And the bishop, I had 30 minutes. Finally, we discussed 1 hour. After 45 minutes, he asked me, Mr. Roulin, why you are here with me? And I said, I have a very audacious request. What do you think if we would meet His Holiness in Vatican with 1 Jew, 1 Muslim, myself a Roman Christian, and a Palestinian Roman Orthodox? He said, wonderful idea. The Pope is coming in Geneva. Please give me a letter, and I will give it to the Pope. I cannot see the timing. Oh, it's okay, Yossi. Cool down. And we met the Pope. It was really fantastic with Yossi, General Mansour, and 1 Palestinian. We had 30 minutes. And as with the bishop, he stayed 40 minutes. He was so fascinated by our stories about the birds that he stayed 10 minutes longer. There were 400 believers who had to wait because of us. We were very proud of this. And you can see here General Mansour, Yossi, and 1 Palestinian giving the gifts to the Holiness. He was really amazed by what you are doing here in Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. And finally, we had the pleasure to go to the Universal exhibition invited by Switzerland. And again, we went with our friends from the free communities there to present. 2 minutes to finish, Yossi. You see, 2 minutes. And this was a huge pleasure to be there with also Moroccan. This was to celebrate the renewal of the diplomatic ties between Morocco and Israel and the 100 years of diplomatic relationships between Switzerland and Morocco. Thus, we're very proud to be in the Swiss pavilion. We also went, of course, to the Israeli pavilion to meet 1 minister here of environmental protection, Tamar Zandberg. Wonderful meeting. We met several people, many people. We went to the Ministry of Dubai. And okay, thus you see, we go out of the box, stimulated by Yossi, of course, and this is a great pleasure for us, at least for me, from Europe, to present this project as far as we can. And I'm very proud to belong to this project with General Mansour and Yossi Leshem. Yossi, you want to add something, please?
Okay, thank you very much, General Mansour Abu Rashid and Professor Alex Roulin. But to finalize, I want to tell you, when we came to His Holiness, to the Pope, when we came out, the Cardinal told us, we hosted 2 weeks ago the King of Spain. He got only 20 minutes. You got 45. So this is working. Thank you very much.